Today we are going to explain an erotic thriller movie called The Color of Night. The movie starts and we see a frustrated woman. She cannot find the perfect look, a really big problem. Here she takes it one step ahead and puts a revolver in her mouth to pull the trigger, but ended up by giving a blowjob to the pistol. Well, we forget to introduce her. She is Mitchell, a patient of our lead actor Dr. Bill Coppa. He is a behaviorist. Doctor and Mitchell are arguing about the meaning of life and their perspective to see it. She does not like Doctor's black and white view of life. Bill heartlessly tells her that no one likes her and nobody want to be with her. This statement crushes her heart. Ben asks her to look into the mirror and tell him what she finds. Michelle sadly replies that nothing much that she likes. After that, she jumps outside the window and ends her sad life. Bill is traumatized by this, and later we can see that he is meeting with his psychiatrist. He explains to the doctor how he feels guilty about the death of Mitchell, but his doctor suggests that there are a lot of things going on in her life, and you are just a small part of it, so don't blame yourself. He is leaving because he has planned a Los Angeles trip to meet his old friend Bob. Doctor suggests him to don't run away from his problem. Bill confesses that he cannot run away from it because it's in his mind. He landed and instantaneously catched by the worst nightmare. A traffic jam. His cab driver is furious and abuses everyone on the freeway. Scene shifts and we can see Bob's clinic. A group of weird people is here to have counseling. Bill arrived and both friends share a tight hug. He invites him into the therapy session. Bill hesitates, but at last he agrees to take part. Bob starts the session and tells everyone to introduce themselves to Bill. A pretty girl. Her name is Sandra Dorio, and she has a problem of marrying old rich people and thinking about sex all the time. Currently, she is in search of true love. Our next candidate is Rich Eye. He wants to speak, but when he opens his mouth, nothing comes out, except when he is on drugs. His name is Buck. He lost his wife and daughter and traumatized by his loss. Cassie Hines is a painter, son of a rich dad, and he has some serious personality issues. Clark is a lawyer and he has a problem arranging everything in order and remembering every tiny detail about everything. After a while, session ends and both are headed toward home. They finally arrived at Bob's high-tech house. Bill is surprised by this and appreciates his hard work. Anyway, they are having a beer when Bob asks him about his problem. Bill told him that it's very hard to talk about it. This is driving him crazy. In the morning, they are preparing themselves for a bicycle race. Before they start, Bill asks about a lot of security in the home. Bob reveals that he is getting death's threat, and he suspected one of his patients. They started the race. Both are trying their best, but at last, Bob emerges as a winner. A few days pass by, and we can see Bob doing his regular work in his clinic. Suddenly, someone attacked and stabbed him to death. Police officer Martinez is in charge of this case. He interrogates Bill and wants to know the detail of the session which he attended. Bill told him that there are 4 men and 1 woman in that group, and also reveals that his friend thinks that killer is one of the group members. So the officer asks him if he suspects anyone. He denies it. Actually, the officer suspects Bill as a murderer, and he has a lot of reason behind it. Anyway, officer let him go. Next morning, police has arrived to search Bob's residence. They searched the entire house and found nothing but a naked photograph of his former wife. When they are leaving, Martinez tells Bill to inform the group about death of their doctor. Initially, he refused to do it, but lastly agrees to do so. Bill is headed toward the clinic, but his car is hit by a novice. That's a pretty girl, and she gets away by saying that he has no money and insurance. That's very common, by the way. She takes Bill's address to bring some cash later. Now everyone is gathered and they are asking about Bob's absence. After a while, Bill tells everyone about the tragic death of Bob. Upon hearing this news, everyone has an emotional breakdown. Bill suggests them to look for another doctor, or he can arrange someone to continue with therapy. But they suggest Bob to take over the group, as he is Bob's best friend and will understand them better. He refuses to do so because police suspect him, and he is more screwed up than themselves. Then he explains how his previous patient commits suicide in front of him, but they want to give it a try for a month, so Bill agrees to do it. During the night, Bill meets the officer in a bar and informs him that he doesn't think that killer is from the group, but the officer believes the killer must be from the group, so he tells him to shut the group down. But Bill refuses to do it and they share a heated argument. When he gets home, he suspects that someone broke into the house, so starts looking and later found out that a tap remained open, so there is water all over the floor. He cleans up the mess. Suddenly, girl from car accident pop out. She call herself Miss Fender Bender. They share some sensual talk, then go out on a dinner date and do stupid date talk. As you tell me about yourself, I tell you about myself kind of bullshit. When they are leaving, they share an intense kiss. That is so intense that Bill got a boner. Unfortunately, she drives away without a backward glance. Richie's brother came to talk. He wants some normalcy in Richie's life because his whole life is about therapy. So he wants Bill's help to get him out of the therapy. Bill understands it and promises to think about it. Later, he encounters a rattlesnake in his letterbox. It scares the shit out of him. He somehow managed to get rid of it. Just after that, police arrived at his place and want to talk about Richie because he suspects him as a murderer. So the officer wants his opinion about him. Bill refuses it and admits that Richie is a good kid and he cannot do that. The doorbell rings and we see that Fender Bender has arrived. She introduces herself as Rose. Police leaves and pleasure comes. They start kissing, and for the next 3 minutes, we see a lot of things. I mean, a really lot of stuff. The next morning, he went to find more about Richie. Came out that he was assigned to Dr. Niedermeyer, a child psychiatrist, until the age of 12. The scene shifts and we can see that our Fender Bender, Rose, is hanging out with one of the patients, Sandra Doris. She is her lesbian girlfriend. They are about to entertain us, but a phone call upsets them. This is Bill. He wants to meet Sandra Doris, and he is already down the street. Hearing this, Rose became upset and left immediately. Bill wants to talk about Richie. Sandra tells him that he is a good kid and he is like a boy to her. Soon she realizes that he suspects Richie as a murderer. She becomes furious and defends Richie while accusing Clark as a killer. She's pretty sure that Clark killed Bob. He leaves her house and goes to Richie's brother's workshop to fetch more information. But he failed, as his brother is not much cooperative about it. His next destination is Dr. Niedermeyer's house. Here, Miss Niedermeyer is not pleased to see him and tells him that Doctor died years ago and bangs the door on his face. Later, the group is gathered and Bill asks them to share more about their personal life, and they chose sex life as a topic to start with. All of them tell how they are currently with a girl which is perfect for them. The scene shifts and we see someone is trying to kill Bill in a car chase. This is pretty serious, and at last, they nearly get killed after somehow manage to escape. He go and informed the police officer about it at his birthday party. After eating the birthday cake, he goes to meet Buck. He welcomes him with a gun in his hand. They get inside and Buck talks about how his wife and daughter got killed in a gunfight. He blames himself for their death and cannot get away from it. After all of it, he comes home and another surprise is waiting for him. He found out that someone has broke into his house. He looks for who is inside and found out that it's our Fender Bender Rose, who is cooking food for him. He is scared and surprised at the same time and asks her how she gets in. Rose tells that she stole the keys and only wants to give a surprise to him. Well, things come down by a kiss and a lot of things after that. In the next scene, we see Bill is meeting another officer named Anderson. Here he gets lots of information, like Buck was a cop and a partner of Martinez in narcotics, and they are very good friends. Also, a big secret is that Martinez was banging Buck's wife. One day they get caught and both have a huge fight in front of the station. 2 days later, his wife and daughter got blown away. Next, we see Casey, our artist, is doing workout. He receives a voicemail from Bill saying that he wants to meet him. Meanwhile, we see that someone put a belt on his neck, and it's not looking good. Bill arrives at his place and tries to open the door but fails. He climbs up and sees that there is smoke coming out of the window. He enters inside and there is a fire going on. He noticed that faces from all his paintings are cut out and burned down, but he manages to save one, and that looks familiar. He also finds out that Casey is killed, and his body is hanging upside down. Scene moves and we see Sandra and his girlfriend Rose having fun watching next door couple making out. Both share intense sensual and emotional moments. Later, Rose visits Bill, and they again have lots of adult calorie burning exercises. While resting, they are viewing a photo album and remembering old days. Bill brings another album from the shelf. Suddenly, Rose becomes upset and wants to go outside. Her strange behavior makes Bill suspicious about her. He gets inside to take a shower, but instead of it, he hides to spy on Rose. Well, he did not have to wait for long, as he spotted Rose trying to take photographs from the album. He asked her what she is hiding, but instead of answering, she ran away. He picks up the image and finds out that this is a naked image of Rose. He tries to chase her but failed. He somehow managed to remember her license plate number. Now scene shifts and we see that they are gathered for the session. Clark points out a diary that is stolen by Sandra. Bill takes it and has a look and finds Bob's last day note and a picture of Rose. Bill asks the group if they knew her, and found out that everyone is sleeping with the same Fender Bender Rose, so they are digging the same hole, but in different shifts. They decide to inform the cop about it. He makes fun of them, especially Bill, because he is a professional and he should know about it. This makes Doctor angry and he wants to break his mouth. Now Officer wants every information about this girl because she is the prime suspect of all the murders. Meanwhile, Bill again goes to Dr. Niedermeyer's home and found out that Richie committed suicide 4 years ago at the age of 12 and has a sister named Rose. His mind got fucked up by this and races towards Richie's brother's workshop. Here he found Rose aka Richie tied up and severely injured. Rose tells him the whole story of how his brother forces him to wear like Richie for so long that she forgets about Rose, and she developed the multi-personality disorder. He frees her by taking nails out and fighting his multiple personalities. They are about to leave, but his brother Dale came and starts shooting nails at them. He hit Bill in the arm and is about to shoot his final shot, but Officer Martinez comes in and takes him at the gunpoint. Bill and Martinez start arguing about how he found out about him. Dale sees opportunity and fires at the officer like a block of wood. Now both have to run for life but failed to do so. Dale imprisoned Bill in a cage. Both of them start arguing about Richie and Rose. Dale explains that Bob and Casey are going to find out the truth behind Richie, so he has decided to kill them. And now he is going to kill him as well. Just after that, he receives a nail shoot on his shoulder. This is Rose, who wants to free herself from his brother. He tries to call him Richie, but she refuses and shoots his head. Dale's story has ended, but she also wants to end her life. So she tries to kill herself with the nail, but they ran out. Then she decides to commit suicide and race to the ceiling. Bill also follows her. He manages to convince her not to commit suicide. But before they hold each other's hand, Rose fell down. But Bill managed to save her like a superhero. Both of them are now a happy couple. So that's all for today. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next recap.